All right. Hey everybody, how you doing? It's KevyKev, and we are at you again with another edition of the Community Corner with KevyKev. And hey, we say hello to our Facebook fam out there. Glad to have you back with us again. It's always a blessing, and looking forward to today's show. Some special things going on. I'm going to get a chance to talk to the publisher of the St. Louis Argus newspaper, TDL. Get some thoughts from him about issues and what's taking place. They have a publication, an issue coming out in print and online very soon. So we'll maybe give a little bit of a sneak preview and some heads up from TD on that. Also, last week was National Teacher Appreciation Week. So I'm going to get a chance to bring one of my teachers on. It is an honor and a pleasure to talk to her. That's coming up, and I'm really looking forward to that. And then we get to wrap things up with another segment of Ed and Kev. It's Evan Gratter, of course, from Zulu Sports, is going to be with us and talk about some topics. And A.T., Aris Taylor, who's here with us, producing as well, and assistant Ed. And we might even get a chance to talk to Aris because she's graduating this week. And we get a chance to talk to her about that. She's graduating from high school, Cornerhan High School, and she's moving on to college, going to Loyola University. So a lot of great things happening and many graduations. It's that time of the year, and we're really glad to get things going. So we want to get things started really quick here, and we're going to check in with, as we said, the publisher of the St. Louis Argus, and you can, of course, visit their website at stlargusnews.com and get the latest as he covers the African-American community and just covers the St. Louis area so well. And we say hello to our good friend, TD Alameen. TD, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Kev. How about yourself?
Hey, doing great. Thank you so much, TD, for taking some time out to talk to us. We're always glad to talk to you because, as it would be, you publishing the newspaper, you have to stay on all the issues and topics in our community, and we know you have one coming out in this upcoming week. So a lot has happened since the last time you and I had a chance to conversate and talk some things over. One of the big issues I know was, of course, the announcement from St. Louis prosecuting attorney Kim Gardner that she was resigning. And so, as I know you are a very close friend of Circuit Attorney Gardner, I just wanted to get what was your reactions and thoughts when you heard the news?
Well, my reaction and thought was like many people I know, they were extremely hurt and saddened, especially those who really understand what's going on and the gravity of what's going on beyond what we see and hear in the media, because we understand a lot of what we think, especially the common masses of people who aren't necessarily privy to the process. Our thinking is shaped by what we hear and what we see, in the media. So it was very painful. It was very hurtful because you understand, who was that said that if you don't understand how white supremacy works, none of this stuff will make sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand, how history and how white supremacy and how our communities have been shaped socially, economically, and politically, if you understand the machinations of white supremacy, none of this stuff is going to make sense. You're going to think it's just a conspiracy theory at, the things that are imposed on our communities and our leadership, So they always say that ignorance is bliss. And I guess I can believe that's true because when man, it's tormenting.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of how I feel about it. Just a lot of emotions from that because there's a young lady that I've been able to become very close friends to, and so I don't even have to agree with her, but I know her heart, and I know her love for her people, and I know her love for justice. She never came in and said that I just want to lock people up.
Mm-hmm.
She never came in and said I was concerned about my prosecution rate, like a lot of people brag. We have a 94% prosecution rate. Nowhere in that is justice. Nowhere in there they say that we're more concerned with justice, even if I had a 20% prosecution rate. So, just to put this in perspective, it's the first black prosecutor in the city of St. Louis since 1821.
Yeah.
In this bastion of a slave state. I mean, it's hard, but I'm confident and I'm encouraged that you could. The power never rested with necessarily the position. The power rested with the people, and the people invested their power in Kim through their voices and their vote. So as long as the people don't forget, as long as they understand the power in their voices and vote, and all is not lost. But
That's
we
right.
just can't forget.
Well, I know one of the things that you said too was that you believe, and prosecuting attorney Gardner said it as well. I know in her resignation statement that this was actually done for the better good of the office and representation. You talk about the underserved communities, the African American communities, that this was done because of the political, certainly ramifications here, but this was done to really allow the office to maintain power. Can you speak to that?
Well, first of all, we can't deny that the things that have been going on in the 6 years created an environment. It's almost like people going to Africa and say, "You see how poor Africa is?" And when you look at it on the surface, you're just like, "Wow, why is it like this?" But when you go into it, you're like, "Oh, because you came in and took the resources. You came in and took the resources. You didn't invest in this place after you took the resources." So you have a situation where you created an environment.
Mm-hmm.
You created an environment where you didn't support it. And there's so many different things that I think you have to do a series on. But just to be short, you created an environment that made doing the job extremely hard. For the prosecutors that were in the office, you just made the job very difficult. So you create this environment. You basically squeeze the life of it because you're not supporting the resources. You have an office that we just got a raise for police officers, and I definitely support police officers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the exact number, but you have you have the Circuit Attorney's Office that requested 30% increase in funding since we're seeing that, hey, listen, there's a shortage. They have a problem. They have a shortage. Well, when we had a shortage of police, what did they say? We have to get some funding. Why didn't people, especially those in positions of authority, say, hey, well, listen, let's get them the resources that they need? So, and I'm sorry, Kev, because I just kind of
Sure, that's okay.
I went to side. So when you look at her stepping away, first of all, I said that to say that firstly they created an environment. So she could have probably, just in my own humble opinion, kept going and kept going. And I think that she had to take it upon herself and those people within her circle to look at the greater impact.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was never about her. She said it's never about her. It's about her ability to bring justice. And if that ability is being impeded because of politics, then you begin the process of looking at, you have certain things on the table. So if I can remove myself from this equation and you have local control, we're going to gain this local control of this office. We're going after the mayor's office and anything, because what they're saying is black folk can't really control a lead themselves. That's what they're really saying.
Yeah.
So if I'm the lightning rod, if I can take myself out of that equation to stymie this steam of local control and going after these offices, then I'll do that. So it was a great sacrifice, and it goes deeper than that. So, but I think in the upcoming months, I think there's going to be a greater perspective that we're all going to gain when the story is told. And that's what people have to understand. The story will be told. When it all clears out, the story will be told.
Okay.
And it probably won't align with, what you probably heard in the media that hadn't necessarily given her the fairest shots.
We are visiting with the publisher of the St. Louis Argus, T.D. El Amin. And T.D., and I know time is running out on us here, but what would you say to the ones who have been, to the critics of the way the office has operated and some of the and some of the cases and situations that have happened when you hear, and again, you go by the media reports of attorneys continuing to leave the office, and there always has seemed to be not really a clarity on just how many attorneys are left there, but we continue to see just a mass leaving of attorneys from the office. What would you say? You know, I saw an interview with a former Circuit Attorney Jennifer Joyce saying that she would like to see the order, if you will, restored back to the office. When you see the numbers in decline, as was she was speaking of attorneys leaving, and again you mentioned it with the funding of the office. But what would you say to that when people have said, "Well, the office is, you know"?
Well, I would say this is the first thing I would say, Kevin. If you hadn't raised your voice when Robert McCullough was in the county, if you hadn't raised your voice at some of the things that have happened under Jennifer Joyce, I would say the non-political part of me would say, "Shut up," because you have a selective outrage because you have not raised your voice, you know, on the injustices that have come. You know, here it is. We take. The second thing I would say. If you don't understand the process, if you're not trying to understand the process, if you're getting your news if you're getting your perspective solely from the media without asking, even some of these elected officials, have you had a conversation with this young lady? Have you given her a fair shot to even explain the process? So my thing, I would say to them, first understand the process, especially those who don't have the legal acumen or the pedigree or degree to make an assessment about a field that's dictated by legality. So first of all, I would tell people to slow down and get a perspective. Malcolm X said, be careful about the media because they will have you loving someone who's good for you, right? Mm-hmm. Or loving someone who's bad for you and hating someone that is good for you. So I would just say, think. And the people who have a selective outrage and never raise their voice, anything, and all of a sudden, after, we have 40 years of decline when it comes to crime in the city, and she has 6 years in, and you ain't said nothing about that and how that connects, I would just say you're faking.
Okay.
I would just say you're faking, and think. I would just tell our people to think. Just really stop and just think.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I understand.
It's a very emotional thing.
Sure. Absolutely. We know it is. And we're going to have to get more time on, and we do look, to the forward of getting an opportunity to talk with the circuit attorney as well, as we're going to run short on time right here. But I appreciate you taking some time out and giving us the insight from the St. Louis Argus. And again, if someone wants to catch that issue this week, what should they do, TD?
Go to STLARGUS news.com, and then we'll be on the newsstands this week after Friday. So, God willing.
All right. STLArgusnews.com, the place to go. TD, thanks so much. We'll be talking to you again very soon. We always appreciate you giving us the insight from the community side with the St. Louis Argus.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you so much. That's TD, the publisher with the St. Louis Argus. Again, STLArgusnews.com, and you can pick it up and check them out online. All right, we're going to take a time out. We'll come back with more. This is the Community Corner with KevyKev. TD, thanks so much. Appreciate you, man, so much.
Anytime, man. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes it's just I try to condense a lot of this stuff, and there's so much related to this, and it's so many things that are gonna come from this, man. And I just hope we don't forget.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not about skin. It's voter suppression. That's how we got to remember. This is voter suppression. So
yes, sir. We just the time just kind of the time that 12 minutes, man, it eats up pretty fast on us.
Yes, sir. I know it, brother. Well, I'm gonna let you get back on and tune in. So
okay, all right. Thanks so much.
Right,
I'll be in touch with you. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. Okay, so that's TD. All right. Okay, Facebook fam, glad to have y'all with us and stand with us. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate you. Definitely. Let me just do this here, Ed. I'm gonna go new and okay. All right. Miss Angelique. How you doing? All right, looking forward to it. All right, Ed, I must be watching the old show here online or something, man. I don't know what I'm looking at here. This I don't know what I'm doing, man. I don't know who that brother is there. That's yeah, that's I don't know what I should. I need to refresh here. Okay, okay. All right, fam, we getting it together here. So we right here, right? This okay. There we go. There we go. It's amazing what a refresher do, y'all. Facebook fam, that's a refreshing and we good to go, right? Okay, we good to go here. All right. And and just in case I get a chance to sneak Ariston here, where would we put her? Just in case we could put her. So I'll be on camera. Okay, let me. I got to be in the mic here. Okay. We could put her here. We could put her right here, couldn't we? If we had to. Because mom's on. Let's see. We going 5, 4, 5, 4. She's on 4 right now. You need a mic check. Let's see. Let me see if you getting any audio. What about now? You getting the artist? All right. You want to check? That's 4. That's 4. Okay, I messed up. Okay, try it now.
Testing 1 2. Testing
okay,
1
you
2.
got her? Okay. All right, we're good to go then. Okay. We moving here, right, Ed? All right, fam, we about to do this again. It's segment 2. All right. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and get this going. All right. It's the Community Corner with KevyKev. Get to talk about some community items and what's on your mind. We love that. We love to also hear from you, too. So, check on in with us, and we'll get that going for you. All right? We're monitoring everything you're doing with us online, and we're glad to be with you. Last week was National Teacher Appreciation Week all across the country in the United States. And, I happen to be a teacher myself, but, I must say that I am truly, truly blessed to have the teachers that I've had. And I tell you, one that is so dear to my heart and special. And we talking about, for me, I won't even say how long it's been, but I'll just go back to it. I was in high school. I am blessed to have my high school teacher, not only my high school teacher on, but my high school journalism teacher, okay? And set the stage for me. I've been blessed to study journalism communications in college at Mizzou and then working it for a number of years now, a lot of years, decades. And I have to always go back and say that I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity if that seed hadn't have been planted back when I was in high school at Northwest, home of the Blue Devils, right, for all the Northwest heads out there. And I'm so happy to have joining us on the show now, Miss Angelique Grider. How you doing, Miss Grider?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Thank you for inviting me.
It is indeed an honor. Just happened to hear that you were in town, and so when I heard that, I said, "Got to get Miss Grider on. Got to get her on." I have been able to do some broadcasting here and in my own hometown, which a lot of times in this business that doesn't happen. But I had a chance to be on the radio here at home, and everybody from stars like Beyonce to Jay-Z to Usher, you go down the list with them, especially in the hip hop, where I had a chance to interview them right here. But I always go back to that seed was planted in high school. And first of all, I just want to thank you for everything you've done as a teacher. And it seems to me that now the country's doing much better. When you were teaching, let me ask you this, because I talk too much and I ramble. I always hear this.
That's okay.
But when you were teaching some years ago, do you remember Teacher Appreciation Week? Do you remember that?
No, I don't think they had really an appreciation until the end of the year. And that involves all the teachers, not necessarily those who had done anything outstanding. But I do remember now at Northwest, Mr. Baldwin and the principal, what have you, they would always do something special for the journalism department because they appreciated the work that I had done along with you and the other students in the classes.
Sure.
Okay. In fact, I always tell this story that when I first came to Northwest from Sumner High School, let me give them credit.
That's right. Home of the Bulldogs. That's right.
Okay. I was transferred there when they started the segregation, and had to have so many white, so many black teachers at one school, what have you. So since Northwest was closer to where I lived, I decided to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And after the principal understood that I had majored in journalism, he wanted me to actually not just teach the class, but he came to me one day and said, would you consider being the public relations person for the school? And I said, no. I said, I have too much to do, and basically get somebody who's not doing anything. And then he turned around and said, no. And I said, why? All these talented people. He said, yes, but you said the key thing, you are doing something, you're involved. He said, the people who sit down and don't do anything, even though they have talent, they always will be sitting down. So I told him I would do it. And along with your class and also the class with Robert Townsend, what have you, we were able actually as a community to turn Northwest around from the reputation it had, because they did consider it as one of the worst schools in the city. But from what we had started doing, and I don't mind taking that credit because God had given a lot of talent in that school that nobody knew about. And so when we started working as a team with the journalism department and what have you, people actually started sending in money to help the school. They said, they realized the good things that were going on inside of there. So it was just wonderful. And as I said, with the teacher, the faculty working together and everything to just turn the reputation of the school around. And of course, you see, you're sitting here, I'm sitting here, so
right.
you're a testimony. Here. Yeah. Definitely. So, those who are coming behind would have you're saying that it doesn't matter where you come from.
Sure,
okay?
Absolutely. And let's face it, when I was with you in the 80s, I believe I said that the 80s, right? Your son is over here laughing at me. Oh, let's make it clear here too. Ed with Zulu Sports. This is Ms. Gratter's Ed's mom. So you see where the journalism, the trail where it goes here. Okay,
another
testimony here, right? But we had a newspaper. We certainly didn't have the internet. We had newspaper and there there was some broadcast places, but everything revolved around the newspaper. And of course, you had the yearbook there.
Right.
But that was the journalism. And you taught us about the 5 W's and the inverted pyramids and the major summary stories and leads, and those things are still with me today, which of course I carried on to school. But it has really advanced because I teach high school journalism and media now. After Carnahan, I'm at Rittner High School, where I came back from a journalism conference this year, and the foundations, of course, that you started. The students are doing it there with their Instagrams and their Twitter and their Facebooks and Snaps and their TikToks and everything.
But it still goes back to knowing the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, but Kevin, I can't go without this day saying, because my son told me about promotion that you guys. So you want to share that with us?
No, just what? Sometimes God will put you in a place at a time, and I would just say that I'm in a situation at Rittner where I'm. I'll get a chance to play a big role with what the students are doing, with the media, and it has been a blessing. And Eris here is the perfect example of that. She worked with her at Carnahan, and she was outstanding in media and journalism, and now she's moving on to college, graduating, and but me personally, I go back to you and allowing us to write and teaching us how to, because for me, when I came out of at that time it was called junior high. We had a newspaper, but it was nothing like when I got to Northwest at the high school level with you, and this paper came out every week, every 2 weeks, and it was you had to meet the deadlines, and it was like, and then the fact that I go back and I think about it, you took a chance on me as a sophomore to get, there weren't many that had a good friend, Cornelius, who was in there with me.
Cornelius, yes, definitely.
And there were not many sophomores in that class. The other students were juniors and seniors, many seniors. And,
well, there's a reason for that, Kevin, because of the fact that with you and Cornelius, Mrs. Matthews, the counselor, actually recommended you. So see, the teachers at Northwest saw something in you before you even came to my class, because she's the one that always came and said, I got somebody for you. And so,
Wow.
and that's how she said, I know the class is supposed to be just for juniors and seniors, but
Yeah.
I think you really appreciate them. So you and Cornelius came on board, and as I said, and then after that, other sophomores, and I think I even had a freshman one year to join the class too. But it was because of the guidance counselor, as I said, taking a look at the students and the qualities that they had.
Well, you go back to the days. You are from Mississippi. What's your town in Mississippi?
Oh my goodness, Byhalia, Mississippi.
Byhalia.
But I have to tell people now, I see it, since we are growing. Okay, let me put that little plug in. That the little small place, country place, is called Casey, Mississippi.
Casey, Mississippi.
Casey,
Now, is that
Mississippi.
Is that near Byhalia or?
It is. It's about 7 miles from Byhalia. And then it's also close to Collierville, Tennessee, the Tennessee state line.
Okay.
So it's almost like a community of Mississippi, Tennessee, and of course we always, join in with Arkansas for doing activities.
Okay, so you weren't very far from the Tennessee and Arkansas lines in your
Correct,
part of
yes.
Mississippi.
And that's one reason why I actually started teaching in Tennessee.
Okay.
Because they were reaching out to the Mississippi faculties to come on board with them.
Okay.
So once again, as I said, I started, with juniors, and then with the freshmen coming in, and also with the middle school students.
Now, let me ask this: was teaching something you always wanted? You always wanted to teach?
Oh, no. Okay,
No,
I went
you didn't
to
want to
school.
teach. She didn't want to teach. Okay.
I did not want to teach. I guess because of the fact that there were so many teachers in my family, I said, that's enough. I want to do something else. Mm-hmm. But actually, it wasn't just the teaching. My background was in music, and I loved music. So that's what I wanted to pursue.
Okay.
But when I got ready to go to graduate school, and, I don't mind sharing this because I give credit. You talked about, teachers' appreciation, and also yesterday was Mother's Day and what have you. So I give credit to my mom, who actually was a teacher also, and my aunt, that they were dedicated, and that's what I saw in teachers. And with them, they also pushed me with the music because I did have a gift for playing the piano, a little bit of the saxophone, what have you. But my music teacher is the one who really saw a lot in me, and I actually was the assistant music director in high school.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I went to college, and I majored and minored in music and English.
And then the English led into the journalism.
English led into the journalism. At Lane College, we really didn't have a journalism department, but there was one teacher. After we had a riot at Lane College, they always blame my class for it. Even though I said it wasn't us, it was those radicals that came in after us.
Okay.
But anyway, one of the teachers, after everything settled down, she had us to write something. And one day, they would always call you in for your personal conferences. And so she called me in and she asked me, said, what do you want to do after you graduate? And I said, I really don't know, because I keep telling people I don't know what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, you know that you have talent for writing, don't you? And I said, no, I did not know that. She said, look at your hands. She said, you've always noticed your hands. And I said, yeah, I've always known that something was special about my hands. She said, you're good at writing. You're good at poetry. And I thought, okay, so it's not just the music, it's creating music, essays, and poetry with my hands.
With your hands.
And so what she did that summer, Martin Luther King had just come from Memphis, and of course, his death and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so she carried two of us down to Memphis just for the experience. And they were also having a writing contest from, Mizzou, and what have you. She found out about that. So she wanted the two of us to enter the contest, and I did. I did a play about Martin Luther King. And from there, she said, why don't you just try journalism as a major when you go to college? And I thought about it, and I said, okay. I didn't get the scholarship, but what Mizzou did do, they wrote me a letter and told me, said that, you didn't win the scholarship, but if you ever decide to come to this school, we will help you because we saw the talent in your writing also. And so that's kind of led into, as I said, after I graduated from Lane College, then I went to Ball State University, and that's where I picked up the magazine journalism.
Aha. All right. My old school, I'm a Mizzou Tiger, MIZ for the ZOUs out there. Had to get that in there. It's Iowa State guys. Cyclone gotta do that. But yeah, that's that is something. You look at it. You teach for 30 years plus. What was the key? How were you? How were you able to stay? Because you went from saying I don't want to teach to doing this for 30 years. How does someone do that?
Actually, when I moved to St. Louis, I had gotten married, and I moved to St. Louis with my husband because the Board of Education had given him a teaching job at Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. I can't even think of the assistant superintendent, called me one day, and he said, I've been looking for you. And I'm like, okay, what happened? He said, I know your husband, and he told me you have a journalism major. And I said, yes, I do. He said, they got an opening at Sumner High School. Go over there and talk to the principal. So I did, Sam Miller. And so when I went there, I talked, and I was always taught from the Southern school teachers would go with confidence. So I told him, I said, well, the superintendent sent me. When do I start? He said, wait a minute.
That's the way to go in, right?
Yes.
I'm going to try that the next do that, Eris. When you go in there, I'm here. Where you want me to start, right?
Where you want me to start? Just go ahead. And so I said, well, you need a teacher. I need a job. When do I start? And he laughed and he said, okay. He said, one thing I have to tell you, I'm the principal. I can't help you now. This is your first year. I said, that's okay. Just tell me what day did I start. And even though he took the time, he was the type of person that really would help all of his new teachers. Mm-hmm. So I started that because the journalism teacher, she had gone on pregnancy leave. And then she actually wrote back and said that she would not be back the following year. Mm-hmm. So I got the position. And then from there, I really love the students, okay? And you asked me, why did I stay? Mm-hmm. That's the key. I love the students. The administration, it makes changes, what have you. But it was the grace of God, and I always tell people, I talk to God, I talk to the Holy Spirit.
You didn't get in trouble for that? You got to watch that these days, right? You got to. But don't want you bringing up the Lord in the classroom, get in trouble for that, right?
I did one time. I'll be honest with you. At Northwest, the principal told me I had to take a sign down because I said, if Jesus can do it, you can too. And he said, Ms. Grady, we can't say that. So it hurt me, but I said, I have to follow the rules, and the Bible said follow the rules. Mm-hmm. So I did. But Okay, excuse me. Got
That's
sound.
all right. That's all right. We're visiting with Angelique Ryder. She is a longtime teacher, my teacher in high school in journalism. Set the stage for me, y'all. Some of them might say, well, with him, I don't know. But go ahead.
No, Kevin was a forerunner for a lot of things that have happened. In fact, just this week, someone asked me, they say, I didn't know that you were Kevin's teacher. And I said, yes. You know KevyKev? I said, yes, but I
That
didn't
guy.
know that's what he would call. They say, that's all we knew, KevyKev. And I'm like, okay,
Oh,
well,
goodness.
yes, I taught KevyKev.
Oh man, you gotta
But-
watch saying that. It might get you put out of some places. I don't know.
But anyway, as I said, it was a love of teaching. I actually did stop one summer. I started working as a secretary for General Motors. And because I said I wanted to do something else, I wanted to try something else, really. And once again, and I'm not bragging about my talents, what have you, even though I know that God has given me definite talents that I use, and I praise God, what have you. But it was the Holy Spirit that led me that says the black children need you in those schools.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal at that time found out, I believe his name was Mr. King that time.
Mm-hmm.
He found out where I was working, and he called me. He said, we've been looking for you. Where are you? And I told him, I said, he said, you didn't quit? I said, I know. I forgot that I was supposed to quit first. But anyway, he said, well, are you coming back? And by that time, I had finally realized I was not a good secretary. So I went back to the public schools. And I stayed there for, as I said, 28 years. I retired early.
Wow.
But I stayed because it was just the students. That's all I could say. The students and the teachers that I worked with, we were all supportive of each other. It was almost like a family.
Yeah.
So actually, I enjoyed it.
Well, that
In
is
spite
awesome.
of me not wanting to teach, I really did enjoy my career.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, Victoria. Like I said, I'm sitting here today, and then like you say, these things transcend on because I don't know if I could ever be as great. Well, I know I can't be as
You
great
are.
a teacher as you.
You are.
However, I will say that I think it says something when you I've been out of high school 40 years now.
Oh my goodness! Don't tell my age.
Don't
Kevin.
tell that. All right.
But that's okay because
but-
I tell people I am proud of my age. and what have you.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, and to still maintain a relationship with your teacher is something special. I would hope, and then I have Arist here, a student of mine. Oh boy, if I stay in touch with Arist 40s, I'd be 100. So I don't know. So I don't know, but I think the whole point that we're making is that it says something when you're able to do that. It's really special. And I know we're just about out of time here, but you also publish. You help people get their works published, and I want you to. How can people get in contact with you? Because you do a great job at helping. Because it used to be really tough writing those books. It's a lot easier now. You help people. How can someone get in touch with you about if they want to know about publishing their books, self-publishing? How do they do it?
Okay, publishing a book. We have the website More. That's MORE. Publishers PUBLISHERS store STORE.biz BIZ. And a lot of the information is on there. Our contact information is there. And of course, look up the THE Scale magazine.
Okay, awesome. That's More Publishing's publisher store.biz.
.biz,
All
right, and the Scale magazine.
Scale magazine.
And I have to say, going back to giving you credit for helping us start our radio and TV program, stirupthegift.enterprise.com.
All right. That's Miss Angelique Ryder. Miss Angelique Ryder, my outstanding, wonderful teacher, journalism teacher. And I thank you so much. It's an honor. This is the show of shows I had you on, so we good.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
All right, Miss Ryder. She's awesome. And we've got more of the Community Corner with KevyKev. It's coming up. All right. All right. That was awesome. You were great. You're fantastic. I knew you would be. Bam, y'all see that? My teacher's here, man. Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, I had to count on you because I didn't take any notes or what have you.
Well, I'm easy to talk to. I just, what y'all call theirs off the dome. Do they still say that? What do they say now? You just coming off with it. What do they say? Off the top of my, okay, y'all got it off the top of my head. See, I thought I was being hip and cool. Eric say that don't work anymore. I ain't even gonna say what one of the kids taught me today. I learned stuff all the time. Yeah. I learned about trolling.
And that's it.
How
that's
about
the
that?
key, Kevin.
Keep learning. I learned about trolling. Do y'all know what that? I didn't know, Eris. Help me. I learned, and she said that's when you just talking. She said I'm trolling. Okay, so I'm trolling. See, Ed, you troll, Ed? Okay. I'm probably trolling some people right now watching this on Facebook, the couple that are, right? I'm sure of that. But I learned that, see? And then, see, I'm on, huh? I do. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what. Oh, my gosh, I know what. He probably watching now. You know exactly. No, I won't let him know. I don't want to let him know, no. Oh, yeah, he got his degree in trollology, right? He got his THD, right? A trollologist. So you heard of the PhD? He's got the THD, right? Oh man, let me. We gonna get to talk to you, right? You got some hot topics, right? Eris, you okay to run this thing? You can run this, all right? Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? We can get into some good stuff with you always, because I was going back to the celebrating 50 years of hip hop and a group that I don't know if you maybe I'll wait till we come back. I ain't gonna say it now because I keep you I keep it going.
That's what you want to talk about.
We can get into a lot of stuff. You can talk about Ja Moran, stuff out of control there, right? Yeah. I bet Mom knows about him being down in Memphis, right? He's I don't know,
the
but
basketball player.
Yeah.
For the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll go ahead and do this then. You ready, Harris? Let me make sure. Okay. Got it set up here. Okay. All right. Anytime you ready, Ed.
I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, here we go. All right. It's the Community Corner with KevyKev, and back with our final segment. Again, big shout-outs and a special thanks again to Miss Grider, my journalism teacher, for being with us on the show, and we just had a great time talking with her. And earlier we kicked things off with T.D. El-Amin, the publisher of the St. Louis Argus newspaper and online site right here. Of course, he covers the St. Louis community, and thank you to both of them. But now this is our final segment. We get a chance to kind of kick it and talk a little bit with Ed Grider. We call it Ed and Kev, right? So that's what I made that
Whatever
up,
it is.
Whatever it is. All right. So we get a chance to talk about some topics and issues. And Ed, you always the man with all the topics and stuff. But before we get to it, I want to say this to you, Ed. I was, we were talking about, of course, this year the 50 years of hip hop, celebrating 50 years of hip hop. And we were talking about, when you and I talked about a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about a lot of groups that should have been in that top 50. We were looking at the Billboard top 50. Now, I don't know if we should have been looking at that anyway, but we were looking at, but Billboard did put this out. And so we looked at this, and they had an interesting list. But a group that I wanted to get your feedback on, because I was listening to a great song by them, and that was Poor Righteous Teachers. And I don't know if they make the top 50, but the song "Rock This Funky Joint," that's one of the anthems there, right?
Yeah.
That and the rap on it, I don't know. What'd you think of them?
Top 50.
I don't know if they make top 50.
Well, I think we're just gonna have to sit down one day and put together a list. Because, I mean, when you were in radio bringing in hip hop and when I was younger, that was kind of when hip hop was evolving. So there were a lot of great groups back then. So it's hard to really look back and say, okay, this group. I mean, there's some groups that stand out, but then there's other groups you think about. Okay, where is their place in hip hop history? But I will say they were very impactful.
Yeah, impactful.
I mean, you just the name Poor Righteous Teachers.
Yeah.
That kind of tells you where they were coming from, because they had, well, you know, KRS-One had what he called edutainment.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of edutainers back then who who weren't just making music to make music, but they were trying to get a message across to the people that were listening. And I mean, that was one of Poor Righteous Teachers' themes, was just educating the black community about what was going on and how we need to do better. So I definitely would say, in terms of consciousness, definly they'd be in top 50.
Yeah, and that's coming from you. You're a De La Soul guy, you know.
I like a lot of stuff.
Now KRS-One, I can't remember. He obviously did make that 50 list, right?
He did. He
Boogie Down.
He was like 24, 25, somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, he was too low for my opinion, but that's where Billboard. And again, we'll make our own list. I personally have him in top 5.
Top 5. Yeah. He's major.
Yeah.
Was De La Soul on that list? I can't remember.
De La Soul was not on that list.
They did not make the list.
No.
Okay. See, because we got to get the list back out, because, you know, like I said, the more and more we talk about it, and I start thinking about these different groups, you know, and again, it's kind of like when you and it could be the top 50. You know, you talk about the top 50 NBA, top 50, you know, NFL, doesn't matter. Major League Baseball, you know, you get into those kind of topics like that.
And you know, my personal opinion, you know, top 50 sound good. They kind of set a framework for who was the best of the best in common opinion. Mm-hmm. But realistically, you have a lot of groups that strike you a certain way, and they reach you emotionally. You know, I have a lot of favorites who may not necessarily be considered greats, quote unquote, but you know, they resonated with me for certain reasons. So
was the Far Side like that with you?
Far Side, yeah. I mean, I was into like the instrumental sounding. You know, not the. There were a lot of, well, you know, they used a lot of samples back then, but there were people that kind of lean more towards the live instrumentation sound. So that's why there were a lot of groups that put on really good shows.
They did.
You had Diggable Planets.
Oh,
that was here.
Diggable Planets.
Yeah, wow. They were what they call jazz eclectic.
Yeah.
You know, so you had them. You had like Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
A lot of groups. I was into that.
So you probably like Arrested Development too, then,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I don't think any of those groups made that 50 that we just mentioned right now.
No, Q-Tip was on the list, but you know, so the list was only for solo artists, but they would pick an artist from some certain groups, and they would discuss their place in hip hop history. But again, it'd be interesting to see a list of just groups.
Yeah, that's really. Did X-Clan make the group? Did they?
No.
They didn't.
No.
Yeah, okay, but I know they were
another
one.
A little bit too radical.
They're a little too radical.
No, I liked X-Clan because again, I was into. I mean, back at that time when I was in high school, I was big into, if you want to call it, Black Power, revolutionary. Yeah. I was kind of evolving my thought process.
So you probably like a lot of Public Enemy too, then. Right?
Yeah. Now, here's a real interesting story. So, I went to a school where I was like, I went to a real small high school. So my class, I graduated with 8 people. There was 2 blacks in the class. I was one of 2 blacks in that class.
Okay.
The white people kind of introduced me to a lot of the rap music that I listened to. Yeah, so Public Enemy was one of the groups that they introduced me to. And I mean, anybody that is a fan of their music, it kind of is a weird juxtaposition for some white people to kind of hip a black person onto Public Enemy. Just as they were another radical group.
Yeah, you know, and what's so funny about that too? If you ever talk to Chuck D and you mention St. Louis, you know one of the first thing he's gonna say?
What's that?
He's gonna say, St. Louis. I remember that place. That's where they banned us. They wouldn't let us come in there. He was saying. That's what he says. Whatever he says. Didn't y'all have a place? It was called the Checker Dome or something. That's what he remembers.
Yeah.
He's talking about the old St. Louis Arena. Well, what used to be it now is, I guess, is the Highlands. It sits there now, off of course where iHeart was at one time.
Yeah.
But that's what that's his memory. That's his recall. Talk to him, about it, and that's what he.
Did you ever get to interview him?
Yes, I did. Him and Flavor Flav. That was a, maybe next week's show. I think I still have the. I'm gonna use this term here, tape of it, and maybe we'll play an excerpt from it. But I do. Him and Flavor Flav. They actually were in town, and because they were in town. And they were speaking at East St. Louis High School.
Okay.
And so after they spoke at East St. Louis High School, they came over to do the top 8 at 8 with me on the old Magic. And him and they didn't bring the S1Ws, but him and Flavor Flav had his big clock, and he was going to give me boy, all that. I mean, I had the whole nine. It was I gotta get that out. Yeah, I gotta find that for you. So yeah, that was it. But like I said, it's just kind of funny to talk about that. I mean, I had the opportunity to interview Eazy-E probably, and I do have the recording of that one. I was listening to that not too long ago. Probably, I'm gonna say maybe it was probably less than a year before he passed away. So but again, all this stuff we talking about, even with these 50s, I was in that position because of your mom planting that seed with the journalism in there for me back in high school. So, that was it.
What made you bring up Poor Righteous Teachers?
I don't know. I was listening to some music and sometimes a song just kicks in. I'm like, man, I remember that. I was like, boy, that was and then it made me think about D Nice and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It just you just started thinking of Ed O.G. and the Bulldogs and you just all these names and like you say, you start thinking about it, you could really do something just with the groups, right? I mean, just with the groups.
Yeah, because like I say, I mean, like I'll go on YouTube and I'll like listen to a song and then I'll see how they put a song up there and like, okay, yeah, I remember this song and that group. And you just kind of going back down memory lane and then you just forget the quality of the talent.
Actually, I mean, I put another one out there. Remember Gangstar, the Guru, DJ Premier.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys, and I'm sure they didn't make the list, right?
No, they didn't. And Guru was from Gangstar. He was another one of those into the Jazz Eclectic when he started doing the Jazzmatazz series.
Yep, he sure did.
So I was a big fan of that.
So man, it was again. So like you say, when you talk about those hip hop artists, and then we try to narrow it down to 50, man, and look, and I believe those were solo artists. I don't think they really put any groups in there. Did they?
There weren't any groups, but like I say, they would. There were some groups that they felt were iconic enough to pick one person.
Yeah, like so. I think Run DMC made that. Or did Run make it? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Oh wow. Okay, we
Yeah,
have
I
to
don't
go back
remember.
and look at that list. Definitely. We definitely will. See, as we're talking about this old school hip hop, any of those names resonate with you? Tribe Called Quest, yeah. She looked like she get into the Tribe Called Quest too. I think she probably like that, like some of the flavor with Tribe Called Quest. I think yeah. So man, it's really interesting. I know we just about out of time. We didn't get we get to talking at hip hop. Look what happened. The segment is going, and of course this might get some of the comments going on that and stuff. But we still got to continue to do that. And we had a good time talking with DJ Cut about that when he was on with us a couple of weeks ago. So. Man, Ed, the time done ran out on us, and I don't know. You had some other topics we didn't get to them, man. So
we can always get to it.
We get back
Chop it
to
up.
it. All right.
How much time we got?
Right now about 15 seconds.
Get us out.
All right, so we better get on out here. Well, hey, it's the Community Corner with KevyKev. Big shout out, thanks to Ed Grider, of course, with Zulu Sports Student. A.T. Harris, congratulations on your graduation coming up. And thanks again to Miss Grider. We're celebrating teachers with us and TD Al-Amin. All right, I'm KevyKev, Community Corner. We'll talk to you next time. All right.
Get us out.
We are out. We are out. We are out. We went over that a little bit. I'm gonna probably hear about it a little bit.
Nah, he probably cut it.
He cut it
cut
for
a few
us.
seconds
You hear
out.
that Facebook family? He cut it when we long like that, right? Yeah.
It get on your head. But.
Get on my head, yeah. And I gave him some stuff. He'll do some editing. He'll get the blade out and start.
So before we come run us out, I do want to ask, and we'll probably
still
do
live
this.
on Facebook.
Yeah,
too.
we're still live on Facebook.
Don't say nothing bad now.
No.
Yeah.
No, I just and
just
we can probably get into this on a future show for radio. But I was wondering, like, who's your favorite artist out of St. Louis?
Ooh, man, that's a good
Because
question.
I know you. If you when you want to talk about it, you
Boy,
you
that's-
kind of broke a couple of artists.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, if you're talking about success, I mean, Nelly's in the class. He's on a level by himself. You know, he set the stage for everybody. But before Nelly, you know, we had some that they might have even hit the Billboard charts. And one that comes to mind is, do you remember Silk Smooth?
I remember Silk Smooth.
Yeah, he had a couple of hits.
He was
Clientele.
really the first major St. Louis artist.
He probably was the first one to hit the billboards. Yeah, him. We had a guy. Remember Early D?
I don't remember that now.
Early D had a song. I bet you could probably find it on YouTube now. JCD and the Dog Pound. Again, these were some guys. What was that group called? There was a group over on the east side in Illinois. They had a song called "Sitting on Fat." I had to fat, and that's PHAT too, Harris. All right, but it was a big song. It was a great local songer. Man, see now you're gonna make me do some homework on that. But those were some things. Wow, boy, I have to. Man, you brought up some. That's some names there. I have to really.
Well, we'll get that in for 50 years.
Yeah, we definitely. But Silk Smooth was one, and sometimes they.
You know, a lot of people don't really know about Silk Smooth. Like I had a guy, is a friend of mine that I work with.
Yeah.
And we talk about hip hop all the time, and he, like I introduced him to. You know, he's a younger guy, probably about 15 years younger than me. So I introduced him to some of the stuff that I grew up on, and I was like, you know, Silk Smooth was the one that opened the door for people like Nelly and the Pete Chingy and everybody else that came out of St. Louis. But
he sure did.
He's not a guy that gets talked about.
And that household name is
Right.
He had a song called "Trick with a Good Rap."
Yeah.
Did I say that? Did I say that, Harris? I did say that. Your mom's still here? I didn't say that. Well, that's what I mean. That was the radio. That's what it was called. I think we might have said "with a good rap."
Well, he had another song called
Well,
Clientele.
I can't say what it really was called. See, that's the nice version. I knew mom was shy. Not that I use that kind of language either, but the cleaning up for the radio, that's what he called it.
Well, so did you have to clean up a lot in that song? Because you and I say that because you told me the stories about how when you had the tapes, you had to actually cut the tape to play the music. Where now we can do it all on computers, but
we had to actually cut it was a physical tape, and it was like a blade, like somebody would shake, and you would cut this thing, Harris. You would cut it, and then what you would do is you would take bad words, curse words, profanity. You take that piece of tape out, and you flip. Y'all like this on Facebook. I'm giving y'all the trick. You take this word and you flip it upside down. So when you hear a bad word, and you go, the mother, it would do that. It would do that. Then they started getting hip, but they put the beats over it. But yeah, we used to. Oh man, we had I feel some of this stuff. I feel funny. Is mom listening? Maybe she got her headphones. She ain't hearing this. So. We had. Ice Cube had an album called Death Certificate.
Yeah.
You remember that album?
Oh yeah, that's one of the top.
That's one of these
hip-hop
tops.
albums.
Okay. He had a so I can't even make myself to say. I could say it clean for Facebook. But he had a song called No Vaseline. I just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's what it was called.
Y'all played that on the radio?
He played that on the radio.
Oh, man.
Doc Love did the edit. I can't take her. It had to be the greatest editing of all time. I don't even know if he still got that mix. But Eris, it had some. Well, if you ever listen to the song, well, you don't want. All I can say is it's unbelievable that you could play that on the radio. It was and not get in trouble.
Yeah,
with
that's
FCC.
That was a pretty rough song.
That's a pretty rough song, and it was put on.
And then and this will be a topic we can talk about another day. But I guess on that album, there was a lot of language in terms of how you refer to different ethnic groups.
Yeah.
That you can't get away with saying today.
No, you couldn't get away with that.
And I know he used a lot of that in that song because of the manager, the old manager that he was dealing with NWA.
With NWA,
Yeah. So I mean, it's just interesting the way that society has shifted from they could say whatever they wanted, and now it's like you say the wrong thing, and you might lose your whole career over it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. There was so many songs that we couldn't have played and couldn't have said words and that they say now. I mean, I never felt good. One of my biggest fears was and it never happened. I had because I used to go speak in schools all the time, and I was always worried that I get the question, you coming to speak to us and some of the songs you play. Nobody never asked me that question, and that was. Although I would say, Matt, we were very, very clean because there's songs that we wouldn't play that other stations even during that time would play. We there was things that we just wouldn't play. But
yeah, we ought to. I think we ought to talk about that next week. Cause, because I know a friend of yours, a good supporter of the show, I asked you about that. One time
about some of the songs. Oh yeah. We need we ought to get him on and kind of talk about very that. Good friend about.
Yeah, because I mean he had an interesting perspective, and you and I kind of discussed it. So I think it's just interesting.
It was this, and I'm gonna end it Facebook with this. This resonated with me. It bothered me too for a long. A very good friend of mine. He might be listening. I was about to go on the radio, and he said this to me. He said. I said, well, I'll talk about to go on the air. And he said something. He said to the effect, he said, okay, so you about to go on the air and poison the minds of the young kids of St. Louis for the next 3 hours? And that bothered me when he said that. He said, you about to go poison the minds of the young kids of St. Louis for the next 3 hours. And it got me, but I understood what he was saying. It made me think about what we played, too, though. It had an effect, but the thought that I was poisoning the young minds, it got me. It made me think. So it served its purpose. It made me think. So we probably better wrap this up.
Yeah.
Let Eris get out of here. And Facebook fam, thank y'all again for being with us, listening to us ramble on her. We get to talk about this hip hop, boy. I tell you, that's like sports for me. We get to talk. We can go for a while on that. All right, that's gonna wrap it up, Ed. All right, we'll get with everybody next time. And thanks for being with us, Facebook fam. Hit us up and, like us and, tag us. Send us to somebody, all right? We need that. All right, subscribe, all that, right? We need that. Okay, we'll talk to y'all next time. Community Corner with KevyKev, and we are out. We out.
So, FTB.
FTB, which means fade to black, right? We fading to black.